Why do so many of us struggle so much with sketchbooks? My sketchbook can be a place filled with fairy tales or what I've started calling dreamscapes. And as satisfying as it is to create these fully finished paintings, I noticed that, especially after moving into a larger sketchbook, every new spread began to feel overwhelming. Sometimes inspiration only needs a short moment to breathe. And quite often, that's exactly what we need it to be: less elaborate, more of an outlet, an experiment, or simply a place to play. A fully packed sketchbook spread can become a performance rather than a moment to unwind. So when I started a larger Bahong sketchbook with the same intention to create storybook pages, I knew after the very first spread that something had to change. I needed to become looser. Not in that fancy way that looks effortless but is actually the result of a lot of practice, but in the truest sense of the word. Looser with my expectation, looser with my style, looser with my choice of mediums, and above all, looser with the rules I had unknowingly placed on myself. Because we all do that. We create invisible rules that dictate how we think a sketchbook should look. And these rules are not just background noise, they're center stage. It's only when we let go of those invisible rules that a sketchbook becomes what it was always meant to be: a place of exploration and not a place of expectation. So after this dreamscape I thought I would replicate in my larger sketchbook, I had to think twice. On a sketchbook of this scale, I am very often not approaching a session thinking I want to be at it for hours. But of course I didn't realise that till I tried. Working on almost double the space made me rethink my whole approach. I wasn't having fun because my inspiration was getting stretched and I just wasn't feeling it anymore halfway through the process. Because that's the nature of it. Sometimes it can run dry fast. I have to stay with the painting or drawing to keep going. Though this is a watercolour sketchbook on the more affordable end of the spectrum, I started drawing in it with Coloraze pencils. So that is something I would never have done in the past. And these pencils gave me permission to feel as though I wasn't making a permanent mark on the paper. I could erase my sketches, leave them as simple drawings, or paint over them later if I felt like it. Only if I felt like it. So every page held two different possibilities. One could remain a quick, non-committal sketch, almost as carefree as doodling, and the other one could become a painting, a natural continuation of that first step. And again, only if I felt like it. I don't need to paint over every sketch, even in a watercolour sketchbook. No page has a rule. It doesn't have to be painted, it doesn't have to be finished, it only has to be turned so that you can start a new one and keep turning the pages. It might sound like obvious advice, but how many of us get stuck at the beginning of the sketchbook or even at the first blank page? I think it's because I have been using them for so long that I have grown habituated to them, like getting used to a smell or a lion roaming in your back garden, or maybe not as scary as that, okay? But I am no longer scared of the sketchbook because every single spread is all I can give at that moment in time. Nobody ever set rules. Nobody ever told you what you had to do. If you picked up a sketchbook, you bought a sketchbook, it was because you felt that pull. And yes, sometimes that pull might be to create something similar to what you've seen on Pinterest or Instagram, and it will take you a while to get there. Why shouldn't it? There's practice behind everything. So start simple with subjects you know, even stick figures if you want to, and just make the only rule to keep turning the page and not to stop, because that is something that we do a lot. We give up because of our own self-judgment and because of our own criticism. A book carries expectation, I won't deny it, and especially if it's your first one, and especially if it was expensive. You are going to feel that pressure. Random unfinished sketchbook pages are rarely published online, so the imposter syndrome can easily kick in, and it will. But don't believe what you see. The pages that led up to that beautiful spread are the foundation of what you are looking at today. And if they had not been created, none of the future work would have existed, and none of your future work will exist. The first pages are the ones that deserve the most respect and admiration because they were the bravest ones. Because you kept turning that page. No other rule but this very simple one, to turn a new leaf. As you see here, I was attempting a more illustrative style, master studies, territories I'm not very familiar with at all, so I attempt new things. I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know some things are not going to look good. And this is what we do on my Patreon every week, through co-sketching, live and recorded, and with guided painting and drawing sessions. If you would like to join us and make your art practice more sustainable and have company, all levels are welcome. And I will leave the link in the description box below this video, as well as the link to my new Skillshare class. It has been thanks to my patrons that I have really learned to lean into the sketchbook practice, because we have regular meetings, we do it together, and we encourage each other so much. And I'll take the chance to thank my patron members immensely for what they give back to me, which very often feels like more than I give to them. They are an amazing, supportive community that has made art making accessible to everyone who wants to give it a try without feeling the pressure. Another important piece of advice is, if you felt that pull, don't deny yourself this experience. Don't deny yourself the chance of getting lost in the gentle world of sketchbooking. With any medium or any style, and whether it's in your own home or in plein air, again, there are no rules. But you will be documenting not only your artistic growth, but your life, your feelings, and the way you see the world at that moment in time. There is nothing more heartwarming than leafing through an old sketchbook once it's finished, and you will very often find that you will be surprised at what you created within its pages. As we distance ourselves from our work, judgment weakens and no longer obscures what we are actually looking at, our own mark making, our own voice. Mistakes will no longer look like mistakes, but moments of understanding, turning a corner. And another little trick is to start with a sketchbook with fewer pages. That way you'll make finishing it feel more doable, and once you've filled that one in, the next ones will just roll on. That's all from me for today. I really do hope you will start your sketchbook if you've been hesitating or if you've stopped halfway or at the beginning. It's such a rewarding experience. And next week I will be finishing the second half of the sketchbook tour and giving you some ideas on how to fill it in if you are totally lost for inspiration, and that sometimes happens. And feel free to start asking questions in the comments section. Thank you and bye for now. See you next week.